Multiple representations of linear relationships. This is exactly what we did yesterday, but you may be starting with a function table first, and then your job will be to graph it, create an equation, and write a scenario. You may be given the graph first, and you have to find the other three. For each of the real-world situations, you will be given either the graph, the verbal description, the table, or the equation that represents a linear relationship between two variables. You will need to create the missing three representations that match the representation provided. Your graphs must be properly labeled and scaled. So, situation number 2, the first one in your notebook, it calls for the monthly cell phone bill. So they give you an equation. It says cost equals 10 cents times our number of texts plus our $50. So let's think about this for a minute. Basically, you have to pay $50, and then you're going to add that to the number of texts that you spend. So here's a scenario. You could come up with your own, or here's mine. My bill is $50 plus 10 cents for every text I send. So let's plug it in. If I send 0 texts, so 0 times 10 cents plus the 50, I would be charged $50. If I sent 100 texts, I'd be charged $60. 200 texts would be $70, and so on and so forth. Now I need to graph it. So I need to have my X and Y labeled, my axis, so the number of text would go on the bottom and my money would go on the side. Now I have to figure out how to separate out my graph. Well, if the number of texts goes up by 100, I might as well do the same. To spread them out and to give myself some room, I actually think I'm going to go by 50. 0, 50, 100, 250, count it to make sure it fits, and I did. And I put them on there. And I don't have to label every one. I can just tell I'm going by 50s. The side looks like it might be easier to go by 10. So let's check it. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So I will fit. So we can mark those. Now my job will be to just graph it. Over 0, up 50, and put my dot. Over 100, up 60. And I will continue to graph it. Over 200, up 70. Over 300, up 80. Over 400, up 90. And over 500, up 100. And so now you would get out your ruler, and you can probably do a better job than I can, but graph my line, make sure my arrows are on each end. And there we go. You need to try to complete each part of them. Situation number 3 is a little bit more complicated. It gives you the table. You still have to fill out each part. This is a little harder because you're looking at from 0 to 8, from 2 to 10. It appears I go up by 8. Here's what's really happening. So I'm going to give you the description on this one. When a tree is planted, it was 8 feet tall. So it started at 8 feet at year 0. It grew 1 foot per year. So that means at year 1, it would have been 9 feet. Year 2, 10 feet, and so on and so forth. Go ahead and complete these.